Okay, so here we are in my driveway. Kayak gets stored all the way back there because of this steep hill on the side. I don't know how well you can see it, but there it is. No place to put it. Nowhere to side load. There's one side of the driveway. And that's the other side. Side loading's out. Coming around to the front here, that's a pretty steep hill, and down there is my John boat on the only other place I have to park a trailer. So this is what I came up with. Lifting an 80-pound fishing kayak. This is 11.5-foot feel-free lure that I picked up. I love it. It's a great kayak, but it's freaking heavy, and trying to get it all up there onto those Malone saddle racks, I could do it, but I was straining my back, and one time I slipped, and I don't know how well you can see that, but bringing it down, it slipped and put a nice little scratch in my rear window, so I don't recommend that. I was using this clamp-on suction cup roller device that's supposed to go on the window, except these windows, as you can see, are curved. Right where the suction cups are supposed to clamp on, the window is curved. So it didn't want to stay on, and that's what happened. The suction cup gave out, and the clamp gave out, and the bow of the kayak slapped right against the window there. So I started looking into what can I do to get this up there. I started investigating on YouTube on winches, and everything was side loading, except I saw one guy who had a winch on the back of his roof rack system, and he went and put the kayak up on the hood of his truck and then winched it up from the back to from the front to the back, and I was like, that seems a little weird. So this is what I came up with. My original design included 2-inch aluminum tubing. That's 2-inch, and that's a 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch thick. And I was going to have a piece coming out here, a horizontal piece coming out of you probably can't see it, but I've got a brand new class 3 or class 2 hitch receiver up inside there that I mounted myself. So that was the first step, buy that. But before I got around to buying the aluminum, started researching that, I realized I had a surf box, which is another reason why I wanted the receiver, the hitch receiver on the front. I already had this piece. This came with my surf box. It fits into a 2-inch hitch receiver. It's got a nice bolt that goes through here. This clamps underneath, so I'm shaking that as hard as I can. There's no sideways movement on that sucker at all. Now with the surf box on here, it gets a little bit of tilt to it, but this is solid. This piece is solid. This is what attaches the surf box to this upright piece. Already had 2 sets of holes drilled for a high position or a low position on the surf box. Already had the clamp with that bolt, and I just put in a locking receiver so I can leave this bad boy on there. Then I've started looking into winches. This is a 2,000 pound, it's upside down right now, True Power 12 volt, clamps onto the battery terminals right there. I may or may not, this cable right here is for my rear winch, which I don't use anymore because I don't have a big boat, but I may decide to put a plug-in down there on the hitch receiver somewhere. So what it is this winch attaches right to this. This is actually 1.5 inch tubing that fits right inside. Let's see if we can get it right there. Fits right inside this one. I'm like, that's great. So I didn't have to go pay somebody a ton of money to weld these 2 pieces together. That also makes it's 2 pieces instead of 1. It's lighter weight that way. Cost me a lot less money to buy this 1.5 inch piece than it would have been to buy 2-inch piece down here and a 2-inch piece up here. And then what I did is, let's see if we can get it up there. I bought a 3-inch sheave I think it's a 600 pound. I forget what the rating on it is. I cut the tubing to allow for that. Used a bolt for a axle essentially on the sheath to turn it into a pulley. There are nylon and steel washers in there for spacers. And you can see that I took away a little bit more material than I needed to, and the bolt has pulled the aluminum together slightly at the top. I'm hoping that's not going to be a problem. If it is, I've got enough height here that I can redo that if I need to. Also, I shouldn't have cut those corners square. I used a grinder instead of a saw. I should have drilled the corners to make them round, and they would have been more stable. That would have been more stable and take a little less material out. But anyway, so there it is. Cable. This is the handle. Obviously can go manual or automatic, and there's the remote control. On off switch, in or out. It's pretty darn slow, but as you can see, there it goes. Yeah, well, don't want to do that, obviously. But I got to guide this up with one hand while I'm doing this. This Feel Free has a wheel in the keel, so it moves very easily forward and backward. So I got to get my gloves on here to handle the cable and get it up there. And when I get it up there, I'll